back to the Overplayed podcast, the home of sports and sports gaming in your ear. My name is GoodGameBro, and I'm just
and
here
you're constantly late for everything.
Listen,
we're
it was my
recording
son's
this.
birthday.
We're
Okay.
literally recording this an hour afterwards because he was late. Just so we're clear, I know you're all listening to this at the same time. I just want to make sure you all know that he would be late for his own funeral if the possibility was there.
That 100% is something that's been said to me by my family before. In my defense, we're 56 minutes late, but it was my son's birthday today. I lost track of time. A lot of stuff going on. Happy birthday, Tyson, little buddy. The guy who's trying to distract you.
This is not the one that yeeted your computer a couple weeks ago, right?
No, this is the one. This is the one.
This is the one that yeeted your computer?
My youngest is the one that did that. Yeah, he.
Gotcha.
He's
and he's still alive.
He's strong.
Okay, I was making sure.
He might beat me up in a couple of years, so I'm kind of nervous. Honestly,
I mean, let's be fair. Well, that's not a high bar to set.
6'3", 190. Okay, so I'm here to remind you, if you have not given us a 5-star rating yet, what is wrong with you, little sausage finger Mervin? You're probably below 5 feet tall. You can grow right now and be above average height, like me. Unlike Mills, who's not above average height. Leave a 5-star review, become 6'3", become incredibly handsome. Maybe you grow a beard like that guy over there. And speaking of that guy over there, as I've already told you, my name is GoodGameBro, and the guy that will watch Zack Snyder's Justice League cut 3 times in a row. Well, it's my incredible co-host, Mills. Mills, how are you?
That actually is, normally it's an insult. I think that's an absolute compliment. Zack Snyder, it's going to be about 3.5 to 4 hours long. I think I watched it about 3 times. I think I'll get all the little Easter eggs that he puts in. It's getting great reviews, by the way. It is out as you're listening to this right now, the Zack Snyder cut on HBO Max. It is getting unbelievable reviews, and I just can't wait. I'm so psyched. It got it's a podcast thing. No, it's a podcast thing. When they listen to the podcast, when they're listening to our voices right now, it will be out. It's not as we record this, but it's an old podcasting trick. I know you're not like really versed in podcasting, but for an old hat like me who's done hundreds of podcasts in my time, you know that you don't really put a time and date stamp on anything. You just say, as you're listening to this, it's out. So you can feel like you're a part of the team. It's
wild that you're like way older than podcasting and the internet, but you know.
That's a low shot. It's a low blow, okay? You went immediately for the age. Immediately for the age. It's always the age. And can I just say this right now, by the way, before we get into a good show, we have a bit of a mishmash of sports gaming and sports, NFL free agency, PGA Tour, and Tiger Woods again. Listen, I'm going to put this out here right now. Those of you that are tagging me with gifs of Mick Foley, it's done. As of this podcast, nobody is to tag me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, MySpace, AOL Instant Messenger. I don't want any of it anymore. I'm seeing random people, not even just random people, Rare Drop employees, Rare Drop, like people that are on the top of the food chain at Rare Drop. By the way, that we're doing this podcast with. Check out Rare Drop Sports. Great Twitch channel, doing a lot of really cool sports games.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, but every one of them has made me Mick Foley now, okay? It's giving me a complex. I'm Mick Foley is like one of my favorite wrestlers ever. And I'm actually having problems watching anything with him in it. I see him tweet once in a while because I follow him on Twitter. And it's like, God, I really hate that dude. I don't actually hate Mick Foley. It's all of you people making me out to be Mick Foley. I don't look like Mick Foley, okay? All right? I don't look like Mick Foley. Let it go, Tim. Let it go.
Mills, can you turn to the left really quick? And the right? Yeah, you're definitely Mick Foley. You're definitely Mick Foley.
It's awful. Can you get us into this podcast, please? What do we have going on? You know what? Screw it. I'm going to take control. What have you? Good game, bro. Welcome to episode 16 of the Overplayed podcast. As we record, what have you been playing this week, Mr. Bro?
Been dominating Warzone.
Ooh, nice.
The AUG FFR meta, or the FFR meta is stupid. I've been rocking that a little bit. I went back to sniping last night, a little 10-piece limb win in our squad play. I jumped it back into Rocket League a little bit. Still love Rocket League a ton. I'm not playing it, but I'm really intrigued. You talked about Outriders a couple weeks ago.
I did, yes.
The news of that hitting Xbox Game Pass, that went from a Probably won't play it anytime soon. Okay, I'm probably gonna play that soon. Like when it
Absolutely.
drops, I'm thinking I'm gonna do, because Xbox Game Pass is the best value out there by far.
100%, and it just gets better. Let's talk about Xbox Game Pass just for a second before we get into the sports. So obviously, I'm a huge proponent of Outriders. I'm enjoying the demo. You can play the demo right now for free, and your progress carries over. They made the incredibly smart decision of making it fully crossplay. So if you have friends on PC, if you have friends on PlayStation, you have friends on Xbox, you can play with them no matter what. Also, now if you own it on Xbox, and it is, just to clarify, it is console only on Game Pass for Xbox Game Pass. There are games that go back and forth between PC and console. This will be only on Xbox, but it's Xbox Game Pass day one. I mean, and I would think most people that have Xbox Live at this point have Xbox Game Pass because it's not that much more expensive. Not only did Xbox Game Pass add Outriders, which is going to make that game way more playable with a larger community because of Game Pass. It's going to they also added the entire Bethesda library for free. They didn't raise the price of Game Pass.
Amazing.
Like they've got Morrowind, Oblivion, like ESO, all of the Fallout games, all of the Doom games, like unbelievable value in there. Then today they announced that EA Play, which is already on there for the Xbox, the PC version of EA Play is now getting added into Game Pass.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, all of the EA Play stuff that's on PC is now getting added in too for the same cost. And can I tell you one other thing Xbox does really well? And for those of you on the audio portion of this podcast, you're not going to see this, but I have a Google Pixel 5.
Mills, put your shirt back on.
Yeah, whoa. And, hey, wait. FCC, don't do anything. I have a Google Pixel 5. That's the phone I own right now. I have the Xbox app on here. I also have a Razer Kishi, which is like a little USB-C controller that goes around the outside of the phone, right? I was playing NBA 2K21 mobily with no lag from my console. And when I say mobily, I don't mean mobily around my house. I was in a car, in the passenger seat of a car, playing NBA 2K21, playing Triple Threat Offline, grinding Triple Threat Offline games with little to no lag. Now, every once in a while, you get like a little jump because I'm on 5G mobile where I'm at, so I do have a very good internet connection. But every once in a while, you get a jump. So I wouldn't suggest like head-to-head games, but that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable, and something I didn't think we'd ever see in our lifetime, where a mobile connection allowed you to have a high-res game being run on your phone with a controller that plugs into it. The Razer Kishi, I think I got it for like 80. I think it's less than that now. And you really don't even need that. All you need is a Bluetooth controller, which all of the Xbox controllers now are. How do you get any more value out of that? And I was a PlayStation guy for the last series of console, for the 4 and the Xbox One. I had both consoles, but I always kind of leaned PlayStation. I went Xbox, and I went Xbox Series X, and I play one game. I play 2 games on my PlayStation 5, Godfall and Avengers. Everything else, including when MLB The Show comes out, I'm going to play on my Xbox Series X. I can't wait until they upgrade for better storage. Apparently, I think that's coming this summer, because I'm going to upgrade the literal hell out of my storage, because that's all I play, man. That's all I play. It's the best. It is the best console going right now, and I love my PlayStation. I love my PlayStation. This is not to start a war, because I think PlayStation is also a very awesome console. Okay, but the just everything about the Xbox right now is just perfect.
Dude, the quick resume on multiple games.
Oh my God, yes.
Unbelievable. Like it's one of those things where you don't realize how good it is until you don't have it, right? Like when I went back to a different console, where I was in the basement, right? I just have an Xbox One, and I was playing on that, and I was like, hold on, brother.
Yeah, it takes forever to load.
Like, wait a second. Like, what? You get this instantaneous piece, and it's just fantastic to know. I was playing 2K1, 2 days ago. I was playing Rocket League last night. When I go to load up 2K21, it's right there.
And
Beautiful.
multiple games. It saves multiple games in quick resume. Like, it's not just
3.
one game.
It's 3, right?
Up to 3 games.
You can literally do the 3. You can then unplug your system, not have it plugged in for a week, plug it back in, and it still quick resumes.
Yes. What? Like I said, I adore my PlayStation. I really do. I sort of like what they're doing with the controller. I still think the DualSense idea is kind of a fad, but I think the PlayStation is doing great things as well. But man, there are just so many quality of life fixes on Xbox that make it so much more enjoyable overall as a console. It makes me really happy that I decided to go that way with a lot of stuff. So, other than that, man, I grinding Outriders, Loop Hero, doing a little bit more Loop Hero.
Oh yeah.
For those of you on Steam for PC, if you're a Mega Man fan, there's a game called 30XX that just came out. It's kind of like Mega Man on hardcore mode. Which is already scary enough, but it's a really, really fun game. I was watching Professor Broman of Rare Drop playing it earlier this week. Really looks fun. It has the same thing. You beat a boss, you gain his weapon, that kind of stuff. So definitely check it out if you're on Steam. I think it literally just came out a week or two ago. So I'll be playing that a little bit later as well. But we've got more to cover, and it's time to get into it. This week in sports and sports gaming, brought to you by, well, not yet, but if you want to be brought to you by, more than welcome to, hey, Rare Drop Sports. At this point, we're both Gamer Advantage guys, right?
Oh yeah,
10% off with the code GGB. Anyway, by the way, they did just for whatever it's worth. If you are listening to this week, I will state this because we are both Gamer Advantage partners. They are offering an extra 10% off on top of the code if you are looking for blue light glasses or things that help your eye health. Extra 10% up until Sunday, March 21st. So anyway, let's get into it. Mishmash PGA Tour 2K21 came out huge this week. After we talked about Mario Golf coming out in June with a speed golf mode, PGA Tour said, hold my beer. First of all, they announced a long-term partnership with Tiger Woods.
Greatest golfer of all time.
I mean, like, if you're going to think of a game, there are still people that call every golf game in existence Tiger Woods golf because of his impact. In this partnership, PGA Tour 2K21 gets rights to his likeness, his name, and his gear, and he becomes executive director of PGA Tour 2K21. He will advise on the game. This is, first of all, of any game news you're going to hear this year, I'm going to say, I'll put it out there right now. This is the largest sports game news you will hear this year. And here is why. When it comes to sports games, the hardest thing to garner is mainstream casual gamers. Okay? We've talked about this before, where sports games kind of get a bad rap for being quote-unquote roster updates. They get Tiger Woods in this game and playable. And I'm going to say playable because there is something about using Tiger Woods. And right now, you cannot use the pros in this game. They find some way to do that upcoming here. And this game blows. This game blows up. Unbelievable. Tiger, I say this earlier. Every golf game in existence, if you ask a casual user what the name of it is, almost every one of them is going to tell you it's Tiger Woods Golf. It could have been Golf Club. It could have been Rory. I don't think people even realized Rory was on the same game as the cover athlete the last year because Tiger was on it for so long. It could have been Lynx on PC back in the 90s. Everyone thinks it's a Tiger Woods game. They're going to put Tiger Woods on this cover, and people are going to flock to this game, which is already my sports game of the year for 2020. Tell me what the impact of Tiger Woods. Tell me. I almost feel dumb saying this. Like, GGB, tell me the impact of, one of the greatest male athletes ever to live on the video game, right? Talk to me about what this does for PGA Tour 2K21.
Yeah, this is a simple one, man. I think the low end or the safe prediction is they double sales. Like, the safe prediction is they double sales. You're right. Every single person, when I used to work in a play and trade, which is like a knockoff GameStop, I worked in there for a couple of years. And every single game that was a golf game, people would always say, like, oh, it's Tiger Woods, Tiger Woods, Tiger Woods. Even Outlaw Golf, I had a guy bring to me from the original Xbox. So I want to pick up the Tiger Woods game. And I'm like, this is a cartoony golf game where you hit each other. With This is not Tiger Woods. 100%. To me, this is a big thing because, while we both loved PGA Tour or PGA 2K21, one of the biggest frustrations is not being able to play with the actual golfers themselves. And that's it shouldn't be a major frustration. That's one of the minor things, I guess, technically. But when Tiger Woods is available, then it becomes a major thing, right? You can't have Tiger Woods in that game as just a guy that you see. And I want to battle him. I want to go against him in challenges. I want him to be, my rival. I want all those things, right? I want, back to the Tiger course shaping stuff they had back with like Augusta when they brought that thing. And like, I want that sort of stuff. I want to be able to play as Tiger. I want some ridiculous challenges that I can do only with a Tiger-based mode. I need that. Let me play Tiger's most incredible moments and try to recreate them and try to beat them. Like, I want to do all those different things with Tiger Woods.
And you hit the nail on the head here. The one thing, if there's one thing, I almost call it the golf club, PGA Tour 2K21 is missing, it's the ability to play as the pros. Yes, you get them in your My Career and the online mode, and it's going to change how the game fundamentally is looked at too. Please understand that. Like, they're going to have a real fundamental change on if you can start using the pros online and like casual modes. Like, how do you use them in online society? Can you use them in online societies? I feel like they probably keep them out of online societies. Like, they force you to use your creative player, but for online, like skins matches or quick matches, stuff like that. And they're already starting. The other thing is they're starting to get a very healthy licensed course.
Oh yeah.
Family in this game. Don't get me wrong. The people that create courses are unreal how good they are. At the same time, the licensed ones are starting to hit really well. They just added Bay Hill in not too long ago because with the Arnold Palmer. Like, they coincided it right with the Arnold Palmer.
Yep.
There's one other thing that they can get that will make not as big of an impact as Tiger Woods, but makes almost as big of an impact. And we both know what it is, and we both know how hard it's going to be for them to get it. And that's Augusta. If they can get the major, if they can get Augusta in there, and Augusta is historically one of the hardest courses to even get to sniff, not only a video game license, but any licensing. But it's also the most well-known course in the world. They get Augusta with Tiger Woods and then make Tiger playable and let like you said, the history of Tiger Woods. What are Tiger's biggest modes? Can you imagine him walking up 18 in Augusta with what that meant to golf, and not just to golf, but society? That's the kind of, and if there's anyone that can do it, I hate to say this. I'm sorry, EA. I'm sorry I'm going to say this. If there's anyone that can do it, it's 2K. 2K does unbelievable stuff with what they have.
I think
this license might be it.
I think the underrated piece of this announcement, if I read it correctly, because I had a chance to look at it, but not look at it extensively, that HP Studios was like officially acquired as not just any more of the developer that was then having 2K published, but like HP Studios is now they are a part of 2K. They are being absorbed and purchased by 2K fully, and they're now underneath their wheelhouse, if I read it correctly. If that's the case, that makes it super exciting because then you have shared, I mean, I'm sure there was some level of shared dev resources, but now you have shared dev resources, engine tweaks, all these different things that can possibly come in here. But I agree with you though. Getting Tiger is major. Getting Augusta is major. What happens with the next, we're assuming this is an annual title now because they're putting, the 2K and then the number beside it. Assuming we have a 2K22, obviously we're having Tiger's involvement to a level that we'll ultimately find out. But if you give me a heavy Tiger involvement and and you bring in Augusta as a course, as a playable course in this next year, this shows me that they are valuing this title as a major, major player for them.
Which is not something we've had before. We've never had golf as the major player. It's always been a side piece. Even when EA had it, when everybody had it, like it was always, hey man, it's a good property, but it's not our main. Like our main, we're Madden FIFA guys. That's our boys. Like we'll put this out every once in a while. So
yeah, for me, what I worry about ultimately is for that title, what happens from a microtransaction standpoint, right? I don't want it to be as heavy as 2K. I'm okay with cosmetics and things and purchasing, and the golf pass is a phenomenal value there, but I just want them to find a balance as they put more emphasis into it. Obviously, it has to generate more money and then becomes a cash cow. I get it, but I just want them to be a little picky there.
I will say that I think they do a really good job with how they work micros right now.
Agreed.
And if they do what they've done before, everything that I've heard from the inside of that place is that 2K went to HB Studios and said, keep doing what you're doing. Make the game. You make a fantastic golf game. We're just here to make sure more people see it. Adding Tiger Woods, make sure more people see it. And if they keep it to cosmetic stuff and keep that clubhouse pass, by the way, you want an idea? You want a great idea? The next clubhouse pass that should be in June should be a Tiger Woods clubhouse pass.
Agreed.
Should be a full Tiger Woods. Give me all his shirts. Give me all of his gear. Give me the clubs he used. Let me go through 75 levels of that. I'm sure we can find enough content for that. Let it go with there. At the same time, you have to make the game more approachable, right? Golf games like right now, it's a great hardcore golf game. You got to make it more approachable, and their difficulty settings are very customizable. But how do you do that? You add BR to it. And I'm not kidding. So the other huge thing this week from PGA Tour was a mode called Divot Derby. And the reason I brought up Mario Golf was because this is speed golf. It's speed golf BR. What you do is you get yourself and 19 of your friends, so 20 total players. A timer goes off. You tee off all at the same time. From there, last person in the hole is out. And then you go on to the next hole. Last person in the hole is out. And it's literally elimination speed golf until one man or woman stands. It is such a smart idea, and it is quick, and it's casual, and it's fun. And you can do like random rounds of it. You can literally matchmake into random rounds. You don't even have to have your friends. You can do private lobbies. You can do open lobbies. It's just like jump in and do your thing. It's the perfect way to draw a new audience in to say, hey, you don't want to play through a career. You don't want to commit to an online society. You don't want to just play regular head-to-head. Jump in with 20 other people and, war zone it up for 18 holes, right? I think it's such a fantastic idea for them. They actually did a really great. I always respect when they do streamer activations like this, where they get a lot of the big streamers. And they had at one point today, I don't know what the max was, but at one point I saw 503,000 viewers on Twitch for it.
Unreal.
Unbelievable. Some of the largest names. Lyric was on it. Co Carnage was on it. Burke Black. It's me JP. Like
Nate
all
Shot.
kinds. Nate Shot tweeted about it, and I was like, "Is this real?" Nate Shot is tweeting about PGA. Just unbelievable names. Really happy that they're doing well. And again, Sports Game of the Year 2020, man, and they've gotten better, and that's insane.
Yep, I love what they're doing. Shout out to that influencer team over there. They're crushing it. To your point, like that roster was phenomenal. I saw Ava GG was on there too. Like,
yep,
we got such a good mix of people that love golf, people that had great personalities, and just sort of having a heavy mix of people that blend well together and are going to have a good time with like party games, right? Because essentially it's like part party game, part golf, part BR. Like it's just such a good blend for that mode. I only caught a couple of snippets. I'm going to rewatch the stream tonight, but any golf game in my opinion needs the hardcore like sim element, and then needs the silly fun like I just want to like have fun and not take it super serious. Because when you and I play games, right, I'm so much better at games than you are. It's not fair if we play one-on-one, so we need something that balances it out where you have some semblance of a chance.
One of these days I'm gonna challenge you to that. We're gonna have like the GGB Mills like Olympics. And you better be careful. That mouth is not going to be able to cash every check that it writes. And you got to remember, GCX is coming up, kid. GCX is coming up. You better damn well believe I'm trying to poke and prod my way into getting you compete into something there, so these people can see what a liar and what an absolute fraud you are. All right? Remember that. You're going to have to cash that check one of these days, and I'm going to tell you what's going to cash it, and it's these 5 toes on his big right foot.
I would just say, like the great philosopher once said, I believe his name was Vince McMahon, you got no chance in hell.
NFL free agency is up and running at a hardcore pace. The Patriots, who have just seemingly decided to print money in New England, sign Matthew Judon and a host of other players. We go from New England to Andy Dalton to the Bears, which pretty much kills any Russell Wilson talk, even though apparently they did reach out. We have Tyrod to the Texans, meaning Deshaun Watson probably on the move, but we got a bigger story, and it revolves around that last name. So Deshaun Watson on Wednesday, was it Wednesday? Oh no, it was late Tuesday night. Allegations that Deshaun Watson was, I want to say sexual. It was a sexual assault. Explain to me exactly. Give me the details, because I saw a couple different things, and I want to make sure that I have the right thing before I say what it is.
Yeah. So there are some layers to unpack on this, but from the top of what I've seen, basically the guy we're talking about, I had to verify his name, Tony Busby, Houston lawyer. Also, to unpack a small layer here, neighbor and friend of Bob McNair, the owner of the Houston Texans, basically is suing on behalf of, I believe, at least one. I think I read there might be up to 4 cases he's essentially going after. He's trying to file 4 total cases against Deshaun Watson for sexual assault. And they're civil cases, mind you. These are not criminal, so there's nothing that is involved. I believe, if I remember correctly, I'm not a lawyer. Civil means essentially you're suing typically for a financial outcome. You're not looking for jail time for the person. You want them to pay for pain and suffering, whatever essentially that may net out to being. So did you see the Instagram post of this lawyer, like what he said when he announced this?
I saw a lot of things come out from this, and I know that what was stated was that Deshaun Watson said that there was a baseless 6-figure settlement demand prior to this lawsuit coming out, and that this dude is not the first time this dude has done this in terms of athletes, and not the first time that he's done it to Deshaun Watson either. Looking for money from these kind of allegations. The allegations were that Deshaun Watson, during a massage, told the masseuse, there we go, the masseuse, to massage a region of his body that obviously is off limits. And Deshaun Watson came out the same night and said, as a result of a social media post, and this is on his Instagram, by the way, as a result of a social media post by publicity-seeking plaintiff's lawyer, I recently became aware of a lawsuit that has apparently been filed against me. I have not yet seen the complaint, but I know this: I have never treated any woman with anything other than the utmost respect. The plaintiff's lawyer claims that this isn't about money, but before filing suit, he made a baseless 6-figure settlement demand, which I quickly rejected. Unlike him, this isn't about money for me. It's about clearing my name, and I look forward to doing that. Now, here's what I want to say. Before you and I go any further in this, we are attacking the lawyer. The woman in question should be absolutely believed before above and above anything else. Okay, if she comes out, or when she comes out and says that I was assaulted, you listen to her first, and then let Deshaun Watson prove his innocence. Okay, which should be fairly easy for Deshaun Watson if he's telling the truth. That being said, this lawyer going to Deshaun Watson beforehand is a slimeball move. If something actually did happen with the masseuse, you should make it completely and absolutely on the books. You should not go to Deshaun Watson and be like, hey, 6 figures and this goes away. Like, that's not how this works. This is why we have a problem in this society of victims not being listened to. And won't go too far into that, but what I will say is situations like this are what cause victims to be looked at as aggressors, is slimy lawyers like this. should have put it on the books. And now Deshaun Watson has this on his hands with this masseuse. Talk about the lawyer first, and then we're going to go on to the smaller portion of this is what the impact is now on his standing as a football player and his trade value. So go on with this.
Yeah, this is why one thing additionally I want to touch on for the lawyer is, Mills, you're 100% correct. We are directing everything that we're talking about here to the lawyer, how he did not go about this as a lawyer should have, right? Sexual assault is a very serious thing. If it's a female or a male, whoever essentially has the allegation towards another party has that allegation, you need to go through proper channels. You need to not try to make some publicized thing about it. If you look at Tony, I don't like telling people to go to this dude's Instagram. If you look at Tony Busby's Instagram, reading his Instagram post is one of the strangest posts I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm not going to read it to you because it's terrible, but the major issue that I have with it is that, again, this lawsuit is about a woman alleging sexual assault against Deshawn Watson. This is not about Tony Busby. This is not about Tony Busby's mother, who he talks about, not about his father, who was a butcher, not about him being a Marine, not anything that he's talking about in there. And then the weirdest part of the Instagram post, I guess I am partly reading it. He says, "I'm not easily intimidated. If you have info or have been a part of this, contact my office." And then he has his website there. I don't think, if I am a person who is going to a lawyer and saying, "Hey, I have a sexual assault allegation against XYZ person," that if they're going and making a social media post, and everything about the social media post is terrible, but then to say at the very end, "If you have info or have been a part of this, contact my office," you were making this sound like what Deshaun Watson referenced previously of the baseless claim by saying you're partially saying, "I don't really have a lot of info here. I'm needing some help." You're not doing your job as a lawyer to build the best case possible to present in this civil lawsuit to help out your client. That part I just want to sort of put out there. This dude lost a mayoral election, and he's trying to start a reality television show about restaurants and stuff. There's just some weird stuff with that lawyer. So if I was that person alleging this sexual assault, I would get a different lawyer personally. That aside, the trade value situation is really interesting because this devalues Watson. It makes him arguably untouchable, right?
Until it's resolved, at least until it's resolved. Yeah.
And we don't know how long that may take. I have no idea what the turnaround on civil lawsuits is, but we've seen sometimes they've been suspended for a couple of months while, fact finding or, whatever essentially is going on through people's works or jobs or timing in the court system. I don't know how Houston's court system works, but this could be maybe a couple of weeks on the early side, maybe a couple of months. And if that goes into the season and Deshaun Watson's already saying I'm not going to play for the Texans anymore, now you have a guy who's not wanting to play for you and has a major lawsuit against him, which means that you are getting nothing for your investment of 140 mil, whatever his contract is essentially worth. This makes me think that Deshaun Watson is not getting traded at all this year. And if he is, it'll be for a Bill O'Brien style pennies in the dollar trade after he's been gone. I don't. This can go a lot of ways, but as of right now, it's not looking good for any party, really.
And I know everyone listening right now, you can hear both of us really struggling to talk about this because we want to we want to talk about Deshaun Watson's trade value. We want to talk about Deshaun Watson, the football player. And unfortunately, there is a woman involved in this, possibly more, that could have been very much violated and hurt by this. And this lawyer is making it incredibly hard for the victim to be the victim. You know what I mean? It's incredibly hard for that woman to be to be able to step up and say, "Hey, look, I'm the victim," when he has all of this awfulness around him and the way he's handled himself in this. So what I will say is that I still think Deshaun Watson gets traded. I do think that it is for much less than they possibly could have gotten before. And at the same time, there's a good chance we don't see Deshaun Watson playing football in 2022 or 2021. this upcoming season, 21,
Yeah.
22. They signed Tyrod Taylor to a 1 year, $12 million deal. They did that today. So that says one of two things to me. Either they know something we don't, or they're preparing to get rid of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
You don't sign a backup quarterback to a 1 year, $12 million deal, especially not somebody the caliber of Tyrod Taylor, who's shown that he can start in this league.
For the Bears, but yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, he started for the Chargers for a while. I mean, he's shown a couple different places that he has the ability to at least manage a game for a team.
Well, I like Tyrod. I like Tyrod.
Oh, I love Tyrod. Yeah, I think Tyrod's a great quarterback. What I'm saying is they signed him with the intention of him starting. And they signed him very clearly to a 1 year deal. So that way, if they end up trading Watson for a first round pick and they get a quarterback involved in it, maybe from the Jets, maybe for the Dolphins, who knows, that quarterback can, grow a little bit that first year. So it's just a really crappy situation made worse by God, Lloyd. We talk about this again, how human beings just can't be human beings anymore. This lawyer has muddied the waters incredibly to something that shouldn't be muddied. So, the other thing I want to talk about is Rodney Hudson gets what they thought he was going to get cut from the Raiders. He actually ends up getting traded. Like he ends up getting traded with a 7th round pick for a 3rd round pick to the Cardinals. Dude, first of all, what in God's name are the Raiders doing? They are going to get Derek Carr beaten and bloodied. Okay, that's the first step in this. You're taking Derek Carr when he's finally showing flashes of being, of making that next step at quarterback, and you're completely dismantling your line. And then immediately after that, while you sign Yannick Ngakoue, who showed absolutely nothing last year when he got traded to the Ravens as a pass rusher. And at the same time, I look at the Cardinals and I go, dude, the Cardinals are coming to play in the NFC West.
AJ Green.
Right? They signed AJ Green today, who pretty much solidifies that Larry Fitzgerald will either retire or be with another team next year.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to be next to DeAndre Hopkins. At this point in his career, AJ Green's a great number 2 with a couple of really good slot, speed guys on that team as well. I think Andy Isabella is still there. Yep. Good tight end. Good. Now, Rodney Hudson, what people don't realize is Rodney Hudson's going to anchor that line. Rodney Hudson's going to make everybody in that line better.
Yep.
And he's also going to be able to work with Kyler Murray to get better under center, which is one of Kyler Murray's weaknesses right now. Is he's much better in that spread offense from a shotgun. He'll be able to run a little bit more under center with Rodney Hudson, I'm sure. So that team in the NFC West, who I still think the NFC West gets dominated by LA right now, by the Rams. But the Seahawks are still kind of iffy at 12-4. I know they're holding on to Russell Wilson, but they still need to do a ton of that offensive line before Russell Wilson even is considered to be back. And at the same time, the 49ers are going to be healthy this year. I don't think a lot of people realize this past year, the 49ers had one of the worst injury histories of any year of their existence. They're going to be healthy this year. And even with Jimmy Garoppolo and not like a Deshaun Watson at the helm, that defense is scary good. Arizona's arming up to be at least one of the wild cards this year.
Well, look at what the 49ers did from the offensive line perspective. Jimmy Garoppolo, whoever is quarterback there, is going to have 17 seconds per possession to throw the football. They got Alex Mack, who is doing what he can to follow, what is his name? Kyle Shanahan from everywhere. Who was in Cleveland with him, was in Atlanta with him, and now he's like, oh, you in San Fran? Let's go over there too. Like he's literally followed him almost everywhere at this point. So you get him, and then you get Trenton Williams, who had a massive contract.
Yes. Deserved massive contract, by the way. After being hurt, came back and became one of the elite left tackles. If he gets his hands on you, you're done. Like, there is no beating Trent Williams if he gets his hands on you.
Didn't Trent Williams have cancer? Like
whatever his injury history was, he was out for a year and then came back last year and had a fantastic year. So if it was, I don't remember what the injury was, but 100% he's been he was unbelievable. So
yeah.
So his deal, by the way, is $138 million, making him the highest paid. It's a 6-year, $138 million deal with $55.1 million of guaranteed money. Also a $30.1 million signing bonus.
So I double checked. He had I'm not even gonna. I can't. I'm not smart. I'm not saying this. He had DFSP.
Clip it, Rare
I
Drop. I need
literally
that
tried to
one.
read it.
That's what I want the clip to be. I'm not smart.
I tried to read this, and it was. I don't want to butcher cancer, but he essentially had what they call DFSP, a rare form of cancer. The doctor said it was weeks from moving to his brain when they removed the growth. That dude was really close to dying.
Right.
Like, that is crazy. So I do not blame at all. Go out there and get the bag. Get that money. You deserve that. And he's one of the best tackles in the game. Yeah.
And Washington royally screwed up that situation with him, by the way. Like everything you hear about out of Washington was they were ignoring the situation. They wanted him to play. They wanted him to come back. Like they weren't believing some of the doctor's reports. This deal with the Niners, making him the highest paid offensive lineman. Again, Trenton Williams is one of those guys that if he gets his hands on you, you're finished. Like you are literally null and void. I've seen this dude block 2 guys, 1 on each hand. That's how good he is. You're absolutely right. That means Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have all the time in the world to throw, except when they play LA, because that Los Angeles defensive line is just as good. So that NFC West it's an absolute gauntlet this year. Also, as we're recording, Patrick Peterson, a loss from the Cardinals, signs on with the Vikings, who have real need for help in that defensive backfield. So that's going to help the Vikings out. But again, free agency has been insane for the NFL right now. We're still looking again. Curtis Samuel gets signed. Let's just go over this real quick. Curtis Samuel signs with the Washington football team, $34.5 million. We talked about AJ Green going. Gerald Everett goes to the Seahawks. That's actually going to be really good for them. Yep. He's going to be behind Tyler Higbee, but again, that 2 tight end system, which we saw out of New England now, who might be going back to that with Cam Newton at the helm. They have Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, who had a case of the drops. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But Jonnu Smith is eternally underrated. He is going to make big news in New England. Kyle Long goes to Kansas City. Hassan Reddick goes another loss for Arizona, who kind of made up for that with signing J.J. Watt, but Hassan Reddick goes to Carolina. I'm trying to make Jayon Brown goes to the Titans. Give me 1 second. I'm going to ask you 1 second. The Rams, in kind of a funny move, would trade Michael Brockers to the Lions after the Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford trade, said that Stafford was a step up from Goff and Goff looked a little lost once in a while. Well, Michael Brockers is going to go rejoin Jared Goff in Detroit. That should be fun. And then also William Jackson gets signed by the Washington football team from the Bengals, where he was kind of a shutdown cover guy. They're going to go to way more man defense in Washington with that pass rush. Talk to me. I just went through a bunch of moves. What do you think in terms of what team is kind of highlighting free agency right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easy one is New England. What New England is doing right now, they're signing anybody and everybody right now. Bill Belichick was like, "Oh, missed the playoffs? We missing the playoffs? No. They brought back Cam on a team-friendly deal that gives him some incentives as well. The 2 tight end system, I think, will work out perfectly for them. The heavy packages they're going to have and the ways they're going to do these little RPOs with Jonnu Smith, they're going to be fine. The Patriots are going to be a playoff team, assuming they get the defensive side sort of sorted out and locked through. I think they're going to be fine because they have lost there. I also love what Arizona's done. I love what Tennessee's doing right now, too. I mean, Tennessee getting Bud Dupree. I know Bud Dupree people are hot and cold on him. I think Bud Dupree on the other side of that line for them is going to be scary.
Yes.
Tennessee with that head coach, they are always going to be a very good defensive team. They have an identity as a smash mouth football team. Tennessee is built in a lot of ways like a classic Pittsburgh Steelers team, right? They have a quarterback who can get the job done. They have sort of like a smash mouth run game. They have a couple of receivers who are talented but can also block a little bit for you. They have a defense that is scary with heavy linebacking cores all over the place and a great defensive front. Corners can be. I think they let Adoree Jackson go. I think
Adoree Jackson is gone. Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, their secondary might be thin. I don't know who else they really have there, but they are built like a when Pittsburgh has a very good team, I think Tennessee's built very similarly. So I love a lot what they're doing.
You mean Tennessee's kind of built like the old school Ravens? You know, the team that did it better, right?
You mean the You know, the old Cleveland Browns, because you guys are technically the Cleveland Browns.
Remind me what happens when Pittsburgh's 4-12 this year behind Big Ben, who can't throw 5 yards downfield. Anyway,
I mean, raise your franchise have things.
EA, let's go on to another NFL story. Madden held the yard tournament with celebrities and pros, so they were really smart here. They got a bunch of celebrities, Yo Boy Pizza, LSK, a couple of celebrity streamers, a couple of NFL players, I believe, were involved in it. Then they took their pros from the competitive side, I think 2 to a team, so they did a 3-on-3 tournament a couple weeks ago. The reason I bring this up is because I watched this yard tournament. And it was infinitely more watchable than any competitive Madden I've watched in years. And that is not negating how good competitive Madden is right now, because it is. I think they've done a great job making their broadcast more real, more sports instead of esports. At the same time, there is something about it being more of a fun mode and seeing those pros kind of like in a more fun element, and then having those huge personalities. I think still one of the biggest misses in Madden competitive is that the pros don't have enough personality. Every once in a while you get like the heel that talks a lot, but every time the heel talks a lot, he ends up saying something on screen that he can't say, and it goes right down the hole again. I truly believe, and I believe this for a while, and I said that co-op was going to be more. I thought squads was going to be more the competitive mode. I think yard ends up being the more streamed mode for Madden on a company level than competitive. I think it does a way better job in terms of inviting new users in. I think it does a way better job of inviting new eyes in. I think it's still close enough to actual football where you can say, okay, I can see this. Like, as long as you can identify players, I think it does a way better job of bringing in mainstream casual. And you can put an NFL player in this situation and not have them be a pro at Madden and still let them succeed a little bit. Do you think at some point we start seeing the yard take off a little bit more, or is this another superstar KO that kind of got left behind?
I want to say my hope is yes. I think the problem with competitive Madden is a couple of things, right? To your point, they don't build out personality. It's probably a 3-pronged thing. They don't build out personalities. That's one of the big things. I've said for years, I want competitive Madden or esports in general to go the UFC route. I love what the UFC does in terms of before a fight is coming up, they are ramping up, they are building characters, they're always building an underdog, a villain, comeback story, revenge. There's always some sort of central thread they have that is being weaved throughout. There's a red thread for them every single time. They also do a really good job with like footage and giving you backstory and making you care about a character. I can watch UFC fights and see an undercard and be like, bro, I don't even know who this dude is. I've never seen him fight before. But because of the UFC hype machine that sort of intertwines and talks about a character or gives you your backstory, you have now a reason to either connect with that person, that fighter, or to say, nah, I want them to get their face beat in tonight. Madden has not done a good job of that outside of, again, to your point, when Young Kiv was first coming up and all he did was just like scream and cry and people were like hating Young Kiv. Now he's matured for a pretty good amount. Like that was sort of how Madden was going.
But to that point, how often do you hear about Kiv anymore?
Valid point.
And that is as much on Madden's head as it is on Kiv's.
Agreed.
Kiv's not a content creator. Like Kiv's not that guy that's going to do a ton of content, but he's a great personality. He even was on EA with the last live EA play that we attended. He announced Madden. He was the face of competitive Madden up there. That's the last time I can remember Kiv being anywhere publicly in terms of Madden, with the exception of competing like once in a while. Madden has done this time and time again. They push their pros a little bit, something happens, and then they start bringing it back. They have got to it's time to S or get off the pot, honestly, is what it is. It's if you're going to make a competitive Madden and you're going to make it good, number one, put the money into it for the people that are playing to actually get paid doing it so that way they can do it full time. Number two, start highlighting your people. Highlight your pros, and Madden does a good job of highlighting content creators. The Madden Live program, which I'm a part of, brings a lot of new viewership, brings a lot of people that you have the opportunity, and again, they give you the opportunity to get eyes and hold on to them. They do a good job of incorporating athletes into like they've had Yo Boy Pizza. I talked about him before. They've RGB or RGB. Hold on, RBT. They've had a bunch of guys. RGB. Jesus, I'm so sorry, Sam. They've had a lot of guys. They're not the expert. Do like a bit with a pro. They do a good job of connecting larger creators with athletes and doing that. They do a terrible job of marketing their pros. With the exception of on competitive Madden, they have to find somewhere else to elevate these pros. And I'm not talking about putting them as coaches in MUT, where, again, MUT is one of your... It's not a dying mode, but when it comes to players, I feel like it's getting smaller. Yeah. I feel like when we talk about the whale, I think the whales are still there. I think that people are getting a little further away from MUT, as more confusing as it gets. So... You got to do something, man. You got to take those pros. You got to get them on the map somewhere, or you just tell them you got to make content. You got to do something. You have to be more viable. I know more about Dubby than I know about any pro in competitive Madden. And that's saying something. Yeah. For all the history that we know about Dubby and everything we know about Dubby holds competitive events on weekends. Freaking like all of these guys that are doing top content. We know way more about Problem's now branching out the war zone because Madden doesn't do anything for him.
Yep.
Like they've got to find some way to get these pros at an elevated level, and I don't think they do a good job of it right now.
Well, that brings me to my second pillar though. Like I think a big thing they miss out on, and no one really talks about this, is like a couple of companies but Halo really I think was one of the first more mainstream to do it for like a shooter brand. They were taking the money you were spending on microtransactions in the game, and a portion of those were then going into the prize pool for their esports events. There is no reason why Madden cannot do something of that nature, because what you're essentially doing now is you're taking your hardcore audience, your super down the funnel, the marketing funnel audience, and saying, okay, people that are spending money in the game on packs week in and week out, they are the ones that are playing these hardcore competitive modes, right? They're playing weekend league, they're playing seasons, they're doing all those different pieces. If they now have messaging telling them the money you're spending on packs is going to go into the prize pool for the esports thing, that is sort of like an easy avenue for them to branch off and be like, oh shoot, well, I want to watch and see what the prize pool is going to be. Madden can now talk about that in the game. So instead of people playing for 50K, they could play for $1 million, or they could play for $5 million or something of that nature. Because that mode is printing a sane amount of money thanks to the whales mostly out there. The major thing, the third thing though, which is probably the biggest piece for Madden, the reason why I think the competitive route struggles and the yard was so much more entertaining. Madden competitive is way too predictable. We know every year there's a meta, there's something that's going to be done, and all these modes when you watch those competitive games, you're kind of like, why are they doing that? Why is the same play being called 3 or 4 times? And it's not to say that there isn't skill involved. There's a high level of skill. There is so much that essentially goes into what those guys and girls are doing at that point, but it is not an enjoyable watch, right? The yard is unpredictable. It is much more like NBA, where you have a 3-pointer can happen in any possession, a dunk can happen in any possession. The yard has crazy backwards laterals into, a crazy somersault that ends up being a touchdown, but it's still, to your point, is tangible. It's grounded in real life football with just some accentuated pieces on top. It's way more exciting. It's way more unpredictable. And there was a match with the Yo Boy Pizza where I think his team lost. And it was the craziest thing I've seen, where I think it was, I forgot who they were playing, but it was like a wild ending where they won on like a last second play. And I'm like, this is nuts. Like that was worth watching. And it literally is in a short focused window. The yard, in my opinion, should be the future of competitive sports. Still have the competitive arm that's playing more of like the head-to-head style with like a full NFL team. But you need to put money and dollars and exposure into the yard and let people try to drive that, because that would be way more entertaining with a 3-person, team going in, watching the ins and outs of how they're breaking down. When you watch the Call of Duty League, you're watching dudes panic. You're watching people step up and yell and go cry or whatever. I want to see that in the yard. I want it.
And even to their credit, like I can name you a ton of 2K League players. Like they do a good job of marketing that. I can name you, different level, but I can name you a bunch of Fortnite pros. You know why?
Yeah.
Because they don't highlight the game. They highlight the pro. I can tell you Apex pros at this point, because guys like Radio Gaming and those kind of guys are fantastic at elevating those stars. elevate your stars. I get it. You want people to buy the damn card, or I'm sorry, the items in the game. But at some point, you have to elevate your stars, or competitive gaming is not going to do well. So, oh well, I'm standing behind. I think Yard in a couple of years is going to end up being the mode that you'll see more on their official channels than even competitive Madden. So, NBA, let's get into this. The Milwaukee Bucks acquired PJ Tucker for DJ Augustine and DJ Wilson from Houston. Houston starting their fire sale a little early. This is a good deal for both teams. Houston's not going anywhere. They're going to unload a lot more talent before it's all said and done, and they're going to have a ton of draft value upcoming. And PJ Tucker for the Bucks gives Giannis another piece, not only inside, but PJ Tucker does a little inside outside. Like, it's going to be able to help Giannis move around a little bit more. So, talk to me about, does this elevate the Bucks past the Nets yet, or do they still have a couple pieces to move?
I don't think it elevates them past the Nets, but I think it makes that series a whole lot more fun.
Yeah.
PJ Tucker isn't having the best year from a shooting perspective, but he's still definitely a body that can go out there. If I'm Milwaukee, I'm telling PJ, like, yo, I'm gonna let you know right now, enjoy your vacation until playoff time. You're gonna play sparing. We're gonna get you conditioned. We're gonna work on some sets for you to get you open a little bit on offense here and there. We have some pin downs, but mostly you're chilling until come playoff time, because that dude is the most valuable when he is fresh in the postseason. He is an alpha. He is a dog. He's a dude that you do not want guarding you. PJ is I get that meme in my head of, like, when LeBron was playing against San Antonio and he's at the free throw line and he sees Kawhi check in and he's like, man, that's literally what you say when you see PJ Tucker check in on you. You're like, I do not want to see him. That is not a good moment for me. So
PJ Tucker hurt too. Like,
yeah.
you there have been multiple players that have played against PJ Tucker, not only inside, outside too, like, that say when you're done with him, you are tired. He does not let you up.
Agreed. I think the biggest thing is going to help Giannis with, though, is probably his shoe game. Giannis, please do a better player edition for your shoe. I hate him. So,
right. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Also today, Trevor Ariza went to Miami for a pick. That's all it was for, because the other piece of that deal isn't going to be with OKC. Rightfully so. Screw off, Myers Leonard. But Ariza is going to be a piece for Miami. A guy with playoff history, a guy that can play 3-and-D, not quite to the level he used to. But what does Trevor Ariza do for Miami now? A team that kind of needed that swing defender. Especially the East, where it looks really top heavy, but Miami's getting hot at the right time and healthy.
Yeah, I still don't love Miami come playoff time. Sorry, Cornell. Yeah. I think Ariza is going to do more for helping Jimmy Butler take some rest. I think we saw in the postseason last year the meme of Jimmy Butler, like, leaning over the thing in the bubble or whatever. Like, that dude put incredible minutes on his body, and I love Jimmy Butler, but he needs to be able to take a rest and be able to just relax for a minute or 2 minutes to know I can come out of the game. The guy come in to replace me is not going to be an offensive threat, but he's going to help me out defensively to keep control. He's a veteran player, can put guys in the right position, help out Tyler Hero figure out defense as well. Like, I think Ariza will be great for that team. He'll hit a couple of threes for him here and there, but it's not going to be enough for Miami. Miami's not even they're not a top 4 team for me, I think, in the East right now.
I agree. As hot as they are, they ride as far as Jimmy Butler can carry them. Yep. I love Bam Adebayo. Like, I love the way the team is built, but the team is built kind of like like a bargain basement version of, almost like the Nets, kind of. If you give Bam like Kevin Durant, maybe bargain basement Bucks. What they are is less talent with the same build. And you're right. I think they're going to have hot streaks. And again, if Butler gets hot in the playoffs again, maybe that carries them a while. Because they are going to make the playoffs. I just don't know that Miami is going to be able to compete with teams like the Nets and the Bucks, or anyone in the top 6 of the West at this point. So,
agreed.
One other NBA thing I do want to mention real quick is that it looks like I just had this up. I want to talk about Hamadou Diallo going to the Pistons for essentially a second round pick and see God, now I'm gonna have to do it. Mikhailiuk. There you go.
Yeah, good. It's like S. It's like no chance. Alphabet soup. I can't say his name.
Right. I think this allows. So I do think Diallo's in a way better place here. Considering I think SGA is pretty much the star
Yeah.
By the way, if you have not watched the Thunder play lately and you haven't seen Alexander run, dude, that's worth the price of admission watching Shai Gilgeous-Alexander play basketball on the offensive and defensive side. But Hamadou Diallo, I think, is a good pickup for the Pistons. And I think they're slowly and quietly building a team that at some point in the next 2 to 3 years, when they all sort of mesh together, is going to look way better than anything you're seeing this year. Getting rid of Blake Griffin's the first step for that, obviously. I'm sure they wish they could have held on to Christian Wood at some point, but I do think that they're building something for the future, and it does look like they have a plan in mind with Diallo in there. So I think Diallo is a really good talent that just didn't work out in OKC. So
yep. I want to see him in the dunk contest. I think Detroit's going to be in a great spot. Their draft picks are going to be great. They're going to be at worst. I mean, they're going to be a lock for top 5, I think, at this point. And when you look at top 5 talent, you got Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, Jalen Suggs, Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, super underrated, Scotty Barnes, he's going to be a great 3-and-D defender in the NBA in a few seasons. There's a lot to be happy about if you're a Detroit fan. You just need to chill for a couple of seasons, then you'll be okay.
Yep. And by the way, keep your eyes out because the chances are the Kyle Lowry and LaMarcus. Well, we know LaMarcus Aldridge is going somewhere. Andre Drummond still hasn't moved, but Kyle Lowry might be the pickup that team looking for a point guard might need. Hello, Clippers. Not saying the Clippers need a point guard. No, I know a lot of people say they do. I think the Clippers are doing very well without one, but having a Kyle Lowry with that kind of playoff experience
Agreed.
might push them up. So last thing, March Madness. Well, last but let's go most here. March Madness is about to kick off. If you're listening to this, they're probably playing games going on right now. Talk to me about your bracket, man. Again, we talked about this last week. It doesn't feel like March Madness. It still, to me, does not feel like March Madness. But seeing a bracket and putting a bracket together did give me a kind of a feeling of, okay, this feels right. This feels right. Talk to me about your bracket. Who do you have going the furthest? Like, where do you have people coming out of each division?
Yeah, dude. Okay, so I'm looking at my bracket here. On the West, I have Gonzaga going in pretty far. I have UCSB. Was that Santa Barbara? I think.
Yeah.
I have them upsetting Creighton.
That's your 12-5. That's your 12-5 match.
Well, yeah. I have them as my 12-5 upset. UVA have beating Ohio. USC I have going on to play Kansas. No other real upsets for me. Iowa beating GCU. I have Oregon beating Iowa. USC beating Kansas. UVA beating UCSB. Gonzaga, my bracket ends up going down to Gonzaga, USC. I love USC. I love what they're doing. And then I have Gonzaga. I just love Gonzaga. Jalen Suggs, Kispert, Drew Timme. There's too much firepower on that team.
100%. Absolutely.
If I look in the South, I'm trying to think any upsets. I have Winthrop. I have two 12-5 upsets. I have Winthrop beating Villanova. Winthrop come postseason time, dude. There's
I know
a
they're
lot
a different.
to love.
I 100% understand they're a different team, but that Villanova team is talented this year.
They are. But I'm telling you, Winthrop puts up almost 80 points a game. Okay, that team is very, very good. I just watched them play a week or two ago, late night, watching a replay, and I was like, yeah, Wintrop's going to be a lot of fun. Outside of that, no real major upsets for me. Out of that, I have Baylor beating Ohio State in the South Division. Midwest, I have Georgia Tech beating who is it? LUC?
LCN, Loyola Chicago, who are supposed to be the darlings, by the way. Loyola Chicago, one of the teams being looked at as the darling of this tournament.
Got it. Well, I have them losing the first round, so I'm very sorry.
Yeah,
so,
well, you're not wrong. I think. I don't think anyone would fight you for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's looked really good this year.
Yeah, I like Georgia Tech. I do think Georgia Tech's a little overrated, so I don't have them going far. I have them losing in the following round to Illinois, who I think is probably the most complete team in college basketball right now, the most fun to watch, in my opinion. I have Tennessee over Oregon State. Okay, State winning, San Diego State, WVU. WVU is full of a bunch of dogs. I love.
I love that you bring up WVU because Culver's fun to watch inside. And if they can shore up their interior defense, I think West Virginia comes out of the Midwest. And I really like Illinois, and I'm a big fan of how Houston plays. But dude, I really think West Virginia can come out into the Final Four out of the Midwest.
Yeah, so my bracket here ultimately is Illinois facing WVU. I have WVU beating Houston, Illinois beating Tennessee. Tennessee's fun to watch, but I don't think they're going to beat Illinois unless something crazy happens. So then Illinois going on. And then in the East, so the final section here, we have Michigan shout out to Juwan Howard, my coach of the year right now for what he's done to that program and turning him around.
Yep, I agree.
Colorado, I have beating Georgetown. Georgetown's fine. They made a great run there in the tournament, but there were a lot of big dogs that necessarily weren't in there. So I don't think Georgetown is going to have the firepower to beat Colorado. They're too talented.
Hopefully somebody in Indianapolis will know who Patrick Ewing is. Because apparently Madison Square Garden doesn't. So
yeah, what are they doing? The Knicks always lose even when they're not playing. Just kidding. They're actually playing well in the NBA right now.
Oh man, Julius Randle, MVP.
I know
it's a meme, but I mean, like, it's a meme. But Julius Randle is easily having his best year as a.
You could argue most improved. I'll give him that.
Yeah, for sure. Good.
But I have Florida State, BYU, Texas, Maryland, and then Alabama winning. So then Michigan beating LSU, FSU beating Colorado. I think that'll be a really close game, like 2 points or less.
Florida State's fun to watch.
Yep. Texas beating BYU, Alabama beating Maryland. Then I have I'm sorry, I have Alabama beating Texas. Sorry, Shaka Smart. And then Michigan beating FSU, with then Alabama upsetting Michigan. I
do think Shaka Smart beats Alabama. I have the same bracket as you. I think Michigan ends up against Texas in the finals of the East, and I think Texas beats Michigan. Yeah. I love Michigan. I think Shaka Smart has easily his most talented team that he's ever had in Texas. Sure. And when you have someone, and again, Juwan Howard is probably coach of the year. Shaka Smart is a better coach right now than Juwan Howard.
You're not wrong.
And when you have that kind of coaching advantage with two very closely level teams with skill rating, I think the coach means that much of a difference in college. And I think Shaka Smart comes out ahead. Matter of fact, I have Shaka Smart in Texas getting into the finals of the national championship.
Ooh.
So I have them losing. But they're going to beat Gonzaga because I think you're right. I think they end up facing Michigan in the finals of the East. I think they end up facing Gonzaga in the West, and I think Shaka Smart has something for them too. So I think it ends up being Texas in the essence of keeping this short. I'm not going to go through all of my picks. What I will say is I think my final four is Gonzaga, Texas. God, why am I saying this? It's on my bracket, and I still don't believe I put them here. I think Baylor does make it to the Final Four.
I have them there too, and it was hard.
Because for me, I know they're 22-2, but I think they're one of the teams that I've watched this year, and they've looked really shaky against some questionable squads this year. I don't like that. I really don't like that. And again, we're talking about a team like West Virginia, who I have in the Final Four.
Yeah,
I have West Virginia because I do believe that interior defense, while important, I think in this year's tournament, I think interior defense is one of those things that unless they face somebody that has a stellar interior player, which I think they're going to get away from, I think they end up in the finals. Because I also think that Illinois is going to get dropped off by Oklahoma State.
No shot. You think?
Dude, I really do. If there's a team that I think can take Illinois, Cade Cunningham is literally one of the best players in the league. He is going to be the number one overall pick. And I don't think Illinois has an answer for him. They're going to double team him. They're going to triple team him. And I still think he wins.
The reason why I gave Illinois ahead, I had Tennessee win the OK State matchup because I think Cade Cunningham is going to be susceptible to what Tennessee's pressure is ultimately going to be. They're going to make life terrible for him, I think, in that game. They're like a high pressure defense from a couple of games that I've been able to watch of them. Guard play is the sole leading factor in March Madness.
I agree.
Teams that have dominant guards have always done well. And if you have a guard or guards that don't turn the ball over in March Madness, you are going to win more often than not. And that is, OK State has Cade Cunningham. They have a couple of guys that are solid outside of that, but Illinois is just so much deeper. I had to take them in that one.
I agree with that. I think the biggest problem that I have with Tennessee right now is in terms of that matchup against Oklahoma State is John Fulkerson is still hurt for them. He's still day to day, and there's a good chance he misses that matchup. They run, I think it's I want to say a 7-man rotation. Every time I've seen them play this year, it's been 7-man. Without Fulkerson, they are extremely, extremely not deep, and you do not want to be at a lack of depth against Oklahoma State. Because Oklahoma State will run you off a court. I I think the finals for me were Illinois, Oklahoma State in the mid, or let me sorry, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, with Illinois falling to Oklahoma State and West Virginia beating Houston. I do have Houston beating Cleveland State and then beating Rutgers. I think Rutgers beats Clemson in the 10-7 matchup there. My 12-5 was Georgetown over Colorado. I think with Patrick Ewing there, I mean, I adore Georgetown and what they're doing and how they play ball. I think Creighton gets through. I think Villanova gets through. I'm a huge Villanova fan this year. And I do think Tennessee gets over Oregon State. So that's your 12-5s. I do. I truly believe the finals end up being Texas versus Baylor. I think it ends up being Baylor, West Virginia, which I think is going to be a fun matchup. And I think it's going to end up being Texas versus Gonzaga. And I think Texas beats Gonzaga, Baylor beats West Virginia, and your national champion is the Baylor Bears, baby.
Yeah, you're going to regret that.
I might, but Baylor's 22-2 on the year. Like, they have probably the best offense in the country. And this is not like March Madness is not like most playoffs where, you know, your offense gets you to the dance and your defense wins you a championship. No, March Madness is about guard play. March Madness is about offense. March Madness is about everything. And it's going to take an elite defense to stop them. And there is not an elite defense that they're going to run into.
Valid. If you had to pick one team that you don't have going into your bracket, into the Final Four, Elite Eight, whatever it might be, that you think can make a run, who do you think that is?
Out of all of these, I would say if there's one team that I think could ruin everything for me, I would say it's going to be, this is going to hurt so much to say. I think it's Virginia.
Yeah.
I think the four seed in the West could put up, I mean, they're going to beat Ohio. They're going to beat Creighton. They're going to run Creighton off the floor. They're going to have a very good matchup with Gonzaga, but if they beat Gonzaga, they match up extremely well with anyone they could see in the West from the bottom end of that. USC could be a matchup because I don't think USC's losing to Wichita. No. I think Kansas is an extremely talented team, but I think Virginia matches up very well with them. I don't think Oregon VCU has a chance, and honestly, I think Iowa's a fraud. I think Iowa's been a fraud since the beginning. I think Iowa gets taken out maybe second round, but if they don't make it taken out second round, they're getting taken out by Kansas probably.
Yeah, I have Iowa losing second round.
I can fully understand that.
Yep. My darling this year is USC. I love what USC does. They play with good pace. They played really tough competition this year. They've got a good defense. And I wouldn't say a stellar defense, but like a defense that can get the job done. And they are just fun to watch. USC is my pick of like, they might mess up some brackets this year. They'll probably lose first round now. So,
and it's crazy to me though, that like Gonzaga is probably the number one overall seed and the favorite to win it all. Like in terms of betting, if you go to Vegas, Gonzaga is more than double, I think, to win the title. And we both picked teams in Gonzaga's bracket to be the ones that really ruin everything. Because I think Gonzaga, I really think the West, and traditionally, I don't think the West is traditionally the toughest bracket. And that's strange, like to say that, because there's no rhyme or reason to why the West, where they got picked. I just think Gonzaga got dropped into what should be the easiest bracket. And with the exception of the number 2 seed probably being the easiest number 2 seed, I think they're in a really, really nightmare bracket. Like, I don't think they want to see Oklahoma second round. They better hope Missouri beats them, because I don't think they want to have anything to do with Oklahoma second round. I definitely don't think they want to see Virginia's third round. No. And as you stated, whoever comes out of USC, Kansas, Oregon, because again, I'm with you. I don't think Iowa does that. Dude, can you imagine Kansas wanting to go up against USC Gonzaga want to go up against USC or Kansas?
No shot.
No, I don't want to go up against any of those. I'd rather go up against Arkansas, Texas Tech. I'm looking at 3 seeds. I love West Virginia. Love West Virginia. I'd much rather go against West Virginia than Kansas at this point.
Agreed.
I have West Virginia going to the Final Four, and I would much rather go against West Virginia than I would Kansas at this point. So.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, I want to know what people's predictions are. Feel free to tweet us. Whatever happens, all of our brackets are going to be in shambles, and someone's going to win with like a 32%, prediction percentage. So
you're doing a bracket too, right? Are you doing a bracket challenge?
Yep, I am.
Check out, is it on your Twitter? Where's the best place they can find that?
In my Discord. So discord.gg/GoodGameBro. In the announcement section, you can check it out. We've got it all in there.
So yeah, there's going to be a bracket challenge for Good Game Bros community. If you guys want to jump into that, discord.gg/GoodGameBro, all one word. Love the vanity link. Vanity links for Discord are so nice. But what else we have? That's it for us for today, for episode 16 of the Overplayed podcast. Take us home, GGB.
Yeah, great episode. Mills, enjoy watching Zack Snyder's Justice League, 3, 4, 5 times
so
in a row.
many times.
This is now awkward. If you haven't left a 5-star review yet, please make sure you do. Let us know what your bracket is ultimately looking like. And as the bracket sort of goes on throughout the next couple of weeks into April, keep us updated. Let us know if you're doing great, if you're doing bad, if you're doing horrible like Mills. We want to hear about that. Great episode.
You can find, I'm taking over for a second. You can find Good Game Bro over at facebook.gg/ is that right? Facebook.gg?
Yeah, that kind of works, yeah.
Okay, facebook.gg/GoodGameBro. You can find me at twitch.tv/Mills. And GGB.
With that, my name is Good Game Bro. That's Mr. Sacco, aka.
God damn it, the Mick Foley thing's gotta stop. You realize they're doing it because of you.
It's Mick Foley. Catch you guys in the next one.
Ciao.